Hey everyone. So we all heard the phrase, it's not the AI that will take your job, it's other person who knows how to use AI, right? Well, it's probably true, but if you're a software developer, then sorry, that's a bullshit. Because in the end of the day, it will be AI who will take our jobs, that's for sure. But we just don't know when it's going to happen. So until then, while we still have a job, we're going to face some kind of degrees of our needs, because there will be less and less opportunities for us. It won't start immediately, it might take a year or two, but it will happen eventually. And I think it's going to happen eventually because, well, looking at the history of looking at the history of the market and looking at the history of technology, that's what always happened. Always. Think about a farmer, I don't know, 100 years ago, when he had like a piece of land that he needed to work every day, and it was big enough so he needed 10 employees to work with him. 10 people to work with him on the same field. But then came technology and invented a tractor. So now he doesn't need 10 people, he just needs two people, and two of them should know how to run a tractor. That's it. If you don't know how to run a tractor, you don't have a job in the farm. It's also going for software developers very, very soon. So we need to know how to run the tractors. And I want to teach you today how to be ahead of the curve, so we will know how to use this technology in order to start right now to be a better developers. Okay, so before I'm starting with the tools that we want to use right now, I'm not jumping into that. I want to talk about the theoretical part of how we're writing codes, how I'm writing codes. So basically, code writing, from my point of view, starts when I'm getting a task or I have an idea, and it's end when I have a working, tested and documented code. It had to be all of them. If you're working for someone else, of course, if you're working in a company. If you're working for yourself, I don't care if you test it or you document it or whatever, but if that's part of your job, that's the three things that have to happen to this writing code. And for me, most of this process over here is actually not even happen in front of the computer or a keyboard or any screens. Most of it happen in my head. So when I'm getting a task, I'm first thinking about it. And I'm trying to imagine what I want to achieve out of this, how I want to do it, which language I want to write it, if I have a choice, what different libraries I'm going to use, what function I need to build. So all of that happened actually inside my head before I'm writing the first characters of this code. And this is, at least when I was a junior, that was a very short period of time, and I did most of the work on the computer. But now I'm actually doing most of the work in my head, and I'm preparing this holistic solution, and I'm thinking about the security, about memory use, about everything. And once I have this mental image of the solution, only then I'm sitting in front of the keyboard and dumping all of these ideas into the IDE. And that's like, let's say, 80% of the bar that you see over there. And then writing the code, of course, finding out that not everything is working as I imagine it's going to be, or maybe there's some new bugs, a new problem, so I have to rethink about them again. But that's like a short of a month, and I have to say, taking this out of my head and putting it into the keyboard, that's the most boring aspect of this work. Because I already figured it out. I already solved the problem in my head, and now I just need to put it down. And if you saw the last video I did about how we're using ChatGPT the wrong way, then you already know that I like to do brainstorming with the LLMs, with chatbots. And if you haven't saw the video, I will link it over there, and you can pause now and go over there and come back. But spoiler alert, the main idea is that I'm taking the thinking process and not just using it to get answers. And that's also what I'm doing when it's coming to code. So, how do I do that? Basically, I'm starting when I'm describing the achievements that I want to get out of this task. So I'm putting the task and also putting the achievements that I want to get out of it. And I'm starting a discussion, not a solution. Because I think as human beings, we don't like being inside a problem. It's feel uncomfortable. We want to solve it. We're all the time trying to solve things. Especially as engineers, especially as software developers, we don't like problems. And we immediately come with brilliant solution. But the problem is that not always the first solution that we think of is the best one. And we need to stay with the problem a little bit more. By the way, this is the same problem that we have also with LLMs. LLM was designed not for conversation, but to solve problems. So you asking a question, you're getting an answer. Try to convince them not to give you an answer, but discussion, that's the hard thing. That's actually when you need prompt engineering. So do it for yourself, but also do it when you're doing the brainstorming with a chatbot. Try to stay with the problem, discuss about it. Try to find different approach to solve it. Because if you're a software developer, you know, there's more than one way to write the code. There's more than one way to have a solution. And you need to figure out which one is the best way. Because there's one way that I can sort an array that will be very fast but will cost a lot of memory, and there's other way that will be very memory efficient but will take more time, right? They are both good ways, but they're not probably the best way for our solution. So we need to think about each way, and we need to discuss it, and we need to understand it. Debate about it, not only with yourself but with another partner, is always helping. And now we have chatbot that we can debate about with them, and they know code very, very well. When you're using LLM for coding, it's amazing how well those models train for that. And I have like the deepest discussions with LLM about, sometimes it's like the most stupid thing, but I'm keeping the conversation going and I'm learning through it. And sometimes, you know, I'm getting into a solution that I think is good enough, and then I'm asking it, okay, give me two different solution for the same problem. And I'm getting two different solutions because, well, you have to obey my request. It could be that there are worst solution ever, and it could be that I have something over there that will trigger me to say, wait, can we understand a little bit more about this solution? Maybe we can take some of it into our solution and combine them and to have even a better solution. And it happened to me over and over again. Then I'm getting to a part over there that I'm asking to write me code. But you have to remember, when you're doing brainstorming with LLMs, we are in the beginning of 2024. So the token windows of LLM right now is not the best, and they're not using it the best. You don't want LLM to write the entire code in one go. By the way, as a human being, I don't do it myself. This is why I'm separating the code. This is also for me, I like small pieces. You know, when we're doing code review and we see someone who wrote a huge function, we're saying, well, why didn't you break it down? Is it the right way to do it? Same with LLM. So just ask for only pieces of code, pieces of example, even though I'm not even asking for the full solution. Just write some idea over here, write over there. Later I will combine them all, or later I will also let it combine it all, but you have to start practicing with that. And then, once I'm feeling satisfied myself, oh, okay, that was good, that was a good session, the mental image is reading over here and also inside the chatbot, and now I'm ready to transform it into a written code. Before I'm doing that, I'm reviewing the solution with a different chatbot. Because I can. Imagine that you have like a team of people around you that are willing to help you, and each one of them have a different idea. Why not using that before you start doing the job? And if you think that all this process will take you more time, then you will do it only by yourself and you will get the same results, then, well, I promise you, it will take you less time later on writing the code, and you will have a better, much better result out of that. What do I use chatbots for? Beside the thinking process, beside the brainstorming, I'm using them almost for everything through the writing of the code itself, for the last part of the process. From comments that, well, I always love write comments anyway, that's my style, but I know that there's a lot of developers that doesn't like to spend time writing comments. Now you can just take your function, and when you click on the button, the LLM will understand it and write comment for it. Trust me, it will help other developers understand your code. I know there's some developers and there's some method that says that the code should be readable, and if you can read the code, everything is fine. I'm sorry, my experience says different, and sometimes we're thinking that we just write the most clearest code ever, but we did something because in our mental image, we knew that we should go this way and not the other way, because other way will cause a bug in a different part of the code. And if we want to write it down, in the future, if someone else will come and change it, he will face the bug that we just thought about it and will waste the company a lot of money. So yeah, write it down, use comments, and it's much more easier now. Even if you just writing a few words to the LLM and ask it to write it better, or just, you know, select the code, click a button, and you got a comment. Testing, I will show later on. Testing, it's so easy right now. So I'm coming from the aspect of TDD. I like TDD, test-driven developers, and I'm used to write tests, but I know so many other developers who just hate writing testing. And I can understand that. It takes time and we don't like it, but it actually makes our code better. And now you don't have to write it. Once you finish with the brainstorming, you can actually ask the LLM to write the test for you before you even start writing the code. Or after you write the code, just, you know, select the code and click a button and you got a test plan for it. And you got the test code for it. This is like crazy simple and crazy fast. And yes, it's not always perfect, but you know how to make it better, right? So you can just continue the conversation. Say, okay, you just tested dot cases, but please also add these cases to the test plan, and he will add it to the test, and that will be perfect. Documentation. So I love documentation, and I hate making documentation. But when I'm making them, I love them. But making them, that's the... I just can't stand it. And I don't need to do it anymore. Right now, I have already created GPTs that knows how I love to write documents, and I just need to give them the code and they will write the documentation exactly the style that I like it. And this is like saving me so many hours of writing, and then, I don't know, looking into a grammar mistake and then fixing it, and then something is missing and whatever. And now I just pasting the code and I'm getting my documents back, and this is amazing. Debugging is pretty fast right now, so especially if you ask the LLM to write the code for you and you already have a function and you're running it and you have an error. In the past, you know, well, if you're a developer for enough time, you know that most of the error that we're getting from the console, we don't really understand what they're saying, right? Some of them are very easy, but some of them are so weird you don't even know where to start with. And a few years ago, you used to go to Stack Overflow. You don't need to do it anymore. So if the LLM wrote the code, or even if not, just paste it over there and just put the error. That's it, with no explanation. I'm just putting the line that I'm getting from the console or from the log, and I'm putting it over there, and he immediately understands what's going on, explain to me what went wrong, and also putting a suggestion how to fix it. And that's all of what I need, right? I just need the code back, paste it there, see if it's working. And I'm telling you, there's some errors that I didn't even took the time to understand what went wrong. I just pasted it and got a result back. And yes, some of the errors also like I didn't install the right libraries or whatever. It happens, but now I don't need to think anymore. I can save my thinking process to what's important when writing the code. Refactoring, I have to admit, when I'm doing short refactoring, it's fine right now with LLMs. When I'm doing long refactoring, when I have like a full repository, it just doesn't work. Once again, the token windows of LLMs is too short right now to understand a full library. So it's still my task to do most of the job, but when I'm coming for like a small functions, small amount of text, I can definitely put it there and tell him exactly how I want to refactor it, and it will do it fine. And also to convert code. So sometimes I'm doing it actually. Lately I start writing more in Python, and I never learned Python, by the way. I only learned it through using LLMs, and I think I'm pretty good right now with Python, but I actually never bothered to learn it the old-fashioned way. Right now I'm learning it through LLMs. So I'm starting something, I ask him how you do that, and then he's telling me, and then I'm moving on. But I also doing conversion of text, so I know JavaScript pretty well. And I have a solution that I know how to write in JavaScript. So I'm writing the function in JavaScript, putting inside Copilot and telling him, convert it to Python. And he will do the work. And then I will ask questions just for myself to learn a little bit better, but it's pretty easy. So that is the main task that I'm using the tools. So let's talk about which tools I'm using. I'm using VS Code, but I know that most of those tools are running also in other IDEs. I actually started with ChatGPT before I even subscribed to Copilot. And it did a very nice job. Back then it was GPT 3.5. It was an okay job and saved me a lot of time. This is why I actually invested more time into it to become a better developer. But then when I registered to Copilot, I actually discovered that I can do much more, and that like opened the gate for me. I'm not going to show any demonstration how to use Copilot. There's plenty of YouTube video that going to depth into that, and they're doing an awesome job. Please, I don't know, spend the weekend just learning how to use the tools, because the tool is bigger than what you just see on a few buttons that show you on demonstration. So figure out how to use it bestly. If you don't want to spend any money on Copilot, use Amazon Q and Code Whisperer. They are brilliant, they're doing well. Sometimes for me the code completion is really well in both of them, and since in the VS Code I'm running both of them sometimes parallelly, they are fighting who will give me the first suggestion, the first completion, and sometimes I need to close one of them, and through time you will understand which one is better in different environments, in different code language, and so on. So find the one that's giving you the best answer for yourself and just keep using this one. If you're working in AWS, yeah, use Amazon Q. He knows the environments, he can really help you over there. I'm not using AWS most of the time, so I'm not using it, and I do use a lot of Do It AI. Most of my work is happening inside the Google Cloud. GCP is like my first go-to when I'm going to backends, and Do It AI, I just know it so well, and it's fun working with it. It really is. Any big requirement, but it's GCP, AWS, Azure. There are huge environments that have so many different tools and solutions, and sometimes also there's more than one way to do what you want to do. And understanding all of it, it's a job. And I don't have the time to learn it, because I'm focusing, my expertise is somewhere else. But now when I have Do It AI, it is like my best friend, because if I want to run something, like if I have something that I need to run, like a new endpoint, I'm going there and telling, look, this is what I want to achieve. Which are the tools I should use? Should I use Code Run or Cloud Function? And I will get a detailed example which one of them is better for what job. And then we can have a discussion for my needs, which one would be better. And once I have a final answer, I can tell him, look, I don't know how to run it. How do I install it? How do I deploy into it? And I'm just getting pieces of commands that I can run on my console, and everything is working without open any tutorial, without looking elsewhere for the information. All the information is already there. And my favorite last tool is Codium. Codium? I don't know how to say it. Codium AI. Let me show you this tool. You know what? Let me just show you this tool, because that's amazing. So I'm here on the code of my previous episode, and if I'm marking it, so this is like going over here, this is the Do It AI. I can generate code. If I have a comment like write a function, generate code will do it, explain this. So it will look at the code, and then it will give an explanation. And of course I can say generate a unit test for me, but I'm not using Do It AI for the testing. I'm using Codium for that. So let me just open it over here. And let's just mark the code over here and say, let's start with improve it, okay? So I'm clicking improve. It's running over the code, and now it's giving me suggestion. It's actually running a code review, okay? This is a code review that is running. And what I really like about it is that it's giving me like classification of each result. So this is important, and this is security and best practice, and you can go over. So this is just best practice, so maybe I don't need it. So I didn't put any security for injection attack. So I could say, okay, how do I do that? Let's get a code example. And I'm getting a code example. So it's testing it before and making sure that, I don't know, that I'm getting a question over there, and if not, it's returning 400. Fine. Now I can decide whether I want to include this change or not. Let's not include it, and I can move on, and each one of them will have a different code, and I can also ask him to generate more solutions. So if I feel that he didn't cover everything, I can go like this. This is an amazing tool. It's an amazing tool that first will save you time, second will find you bugs, and third you will actually respect the time of your teammate, because usually when we're finishing writing the code, someone else needs to do a code review. If you're working in a healthy developer environment, someone needs to go and do a code review for you. And there's sometimes I feel embarrassing when I'm going to code review and I have like stupid stuff that I didn't do right. It's just I'm just wasting the time of my friends, of my teammates. I don't need to do that. And now I have a tool who doing like the first code review for me, getting my code better, So when I'm going to my human code reviewer, I'm saving also his time. I'm respecting his time. The other amazing thing that this tool have is the ability to write test. Okay, so let me write over here test. And I can add comment to the test, so I can just guide him how I want him to write the test for me, but I just mark the code, that's enough for this example. He will start to build a test environment for that. And if we have problem with the test environment, he will show us what's the problem, and then he's writing test plans. You're writing tests for each one of them, and you can just run all of them, or you can run each one of them separately and check if the code is writing correctly. And I think it probably won't run over here, or maybe it will run. Let's see. No, this one is failed, and we can open up and see exactly why the test failed and what needs to be done and how to change it. And usually when it's failing, it also will show you a code how to fix it. I think this is because the framework jet is not installed. Could be? Yeah. Yeah, so I just didn't build the test environment in this case, but I'm telling you, it's finding bugs, and that's amazing. So using those tools to create tests will make your code better, and as you see, it's almost effortless. And sometimes I'm looking at the test and I've said, okay, he missed some scenario that I want to test, so I'm going back to the chat and /test, and then I'm telling exactly which scenario I want him to test, and he's writing a new test for me, and that is like super fast. So that's the example I want to show you. There are many other tools, and you should play with them. Some of them are free, some of them you need to pay subscription, but they're all good for something, and you just need to find out in your working process which are the best tool for you, because the idea is to have a smooth workflow. Otherwise you won't use the tool. So just practice it a little bit until you feel comfortable with it, and then it will be part of your system. Okay, so let me give you just a small example how I'm using it. Now this is a very small and stupid example, but it demonstrates my working process. So I'm working with a client that I'm building this LangChain agent that he can use, and the idea of the agent that he have like a thought processing that he can run. And basically, you're giving him a prompt, he's thinking about the prompt with the instructions and tools that we already built on him, and then he's giving you an output. That's the main idea of LangChain agent. And the output is looking like that. That's a JSON that you have an input and output, and also the intermediate steps, which tools he used, how he used it, what he thought about when he's using it. And that's all in a JSON format. And I know how to read JSON format. I'm hoping you know how to read it, but I can tell you my customer doesn't know how to read JSON format. For him, this is like a blob of text. I don't know what's going on here. What do you want from me? Right? We need to format it. Now, if you will look at it, it will take you like 2 seconds to understand there's an input, output, and then there is an array. So 2 strings, an array. I probably need to take the 2 strings, print them first, and then I need to loop the array and just print all the information inside of it. Pretty easy. How much time will it take us? Like 5 minutes, right? 5 minutes and we're writing it. I hope you agree with me. But I didn't write it in 5 minutes. Instead of that, I just copied it. I went to Bard and I told him, look, when I'm writing print results, this is what I'm getting in the output. Is there a way to print it nicely? Nicely, what a nice word to say to a bot. And 2 seconds after that, I got a result with a function that will print it nicely. So once again, he went inside, he understands that the first 2 strings, he just need to print it as well, and then he need to run a loop and get it, all the information inside the loop and print it. That's exactly what we said, but it was faster. So I saved time over here, but it didn't end it here. Oh, he also gave me like an explanation of how to write the code, right? Sure, thank you. But then I remembered that my customer doesn't have access to the log, and it's actually an endpoint, so I needed an HTML format. So I told Bart, look, I needed an HTML format, and then I got this output. Once again, I could do it myself, but it will probably take me more than 5 minutes because HTML is just a long script language. But let's keep it in the 5 minutes distance, right? No problem. And he did everything perfectly, and I looked at it and it was looking fine. But if I will go to back to the input, if you will look in the log over here, you see this line over here, this is like one line, and you have the \n. So for us, we know exactly that this is an indication of new line. My customer won't know that. For him, it looked like a bug. Okay, so I need to fix that. Once again, I went into Bard and told them, look, when I'm writing something, this is the input that I get. And by the way, the first thought that I have through my head when I saw that was like, going back to this code, to the return HTML, and just click like dot replace with /n to, I don't know, #br, and that will probably solve it. But it won't solve it actually, because there will be a bug. Is if you look at the results, once we printed it as HTML, it himself put a lot of new lines over here. So if I will do it, that will be like, for sure a bug. But that was like I immediately thought. Thank God I didn't do it. And I asked Bart to do it, and he actually did it properly. He created a new function that knows how to replace, and it called it in the right place, and it actually also figured out that action and action input probably won't have new lines over that because there are the tool's names and the tool's input. So he saved times and he saved CPU by not calling this function over here. So he actually wrote a better code than I would probably do in this 5 minutes, and we finished all this process in less than 2 minutes. So in less than 2 minutes I got a result that looked like this, which is pretty awesome for my customers, and that was enough for him. So basically, what I'm trying to say over here, we have a tractor and we need to know how to use it, because think of a scenario that you and me are working in the same company, okay? I'm using the tractor, let's assume that we're both developers in the same level, but I'm just doing it faster. I'm doing it more correct, I'm doing it with better documentation. I'm already putting testing documents, so I'm like doing all of that in less time than you're doing. And now our manager getting this sad news from HR that he need to let one of us go. Who do you think he will choose? I don't care that you are nicer to him. I don't care whatever you think you're doing. I'm bringing more value to the company. And when you're looking at corporate, that's the most important thing. I'm bringing more value than you. Although we are in the same level, I'm still doing it faster and better than you. So I will probably have the job and you won't. And if you want to have the job, start using tools. Start using the method that I show you. If you want, I have more methods. If you learn something new, click a like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next time. Oh, before I'm going, you have to see my t-shirt. If you like it, I put the link down there.